Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Today, I want to get excited. I want to talk about what I'm excited about with Mauricio Pochettino joining Chelsea. Before I do that, top link in the description is the GBFC Telegram, posting every day on there. I've partnered up with Go Markets, who have recently sponsored Chelsea. So they're powering the giveaways over on the Telegram. So you might as well join. It's free to join. Link in the description. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie to you. The more I read the news, the more I see Chelsea every day, the top journalists, they're saying Pochettino still wants Rice. Pochettino wants Emi Martinez, Lautaro Martinez. He wants Alexis McAllister, Moises Caicedo, Harry Kane, but it's going to be virtually impossible. We talked about that in yesterday's news video, and the news is virtually the same again today. But I want to focus more around some of the homegrown potentials that Chelsea will have now with Mauricio Pochettino in charge. The latest news is Pochettino sees the core that he wants to build this team around. Or I'm going to say team might not be the right word. The team will be the 11 we see the most next season. But in terms of the football club, this year has put us to a point where unrecognisable at times. The Chelsea that I know in the past have been built on a core of players. And that isn't just like the traditional spine of Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, Ashley Cole, those guys. That was the most blessed era. I don't think we'll ever have that amount of trophies, that amount of success again with the way that the Premier League is, the way that City are. Liverpool are going to be back next year. Newcastle, it's so competitive now. And we were so lucky to have that. But even the Conte title-winning year, you've got Fabregas, Hazard. You've got Diego Costa running the line for Chelsea. And I think now, with the current crop of players we've got, and we can say whatever we want about the way that we may have mishandled, mismanaged certain transfer dealings in the past two windows since Todd Boehly came in. But the facts still remain that Chelsea have bought a lot of talented players who simply need a coach. And when you've got a coach who's going to be able to implement a winning strategy, he's worked with elite football clubs before and built things, even though it wasn't necessarily the success that Chelsea fans relate to, which is lifting trophies above our heads. Pochettino has done a very good job at Tottenham. Whether we despise Tottenham Hotspur or not, and through association we didn't like Pochettino before he's now the Chelsea manager, it is an exciting time based on all of the things that we've just said regarding the players we brought in and the fact that Pochettino apparently wants to build around homegrown players like Levi Colwill, Mason Mount, Reece James, and Conor Gallagher is an interesting name that's come up because a few weeks ago, we were looking at Gallagher and we all kind of got tired of saying he runs around, he tries really hard and he fights. And then when you see the decline of Kovacic in recent games, but then you actually broaden that horizon a little bit and think, well, for about a year now, he's been doing pretty much that the whole time. It's been a constant decline from Kovacic. And you can understand it. A player who's won so much in his career, now playing in a disjointed squad when he's been used to playing in set regimented systems, in successful teams, winning multiple Champions Leagues. Now that you've got to deal with the commotion, the chaos surrounding this season with multiple different managers with different ideas, and probably, for the majority of that, a manager who was kind of fighting against the clock as opposed to building a strategy in his own team, which is Graham Potter. Graham Potter was changing the team every game, whether that was because of injuries or formational changes, reacting to results to try and force a reaction. When you're a top player like Kovacic, that isn't what you need. That isn't what Mateo Kovacic has thrived under. And I think with Gallagher, over the course of the last few weeks, I have been impressed with him because he's added a couple of goals in to a Chelsea team that aren't scoring goals. When you work hard and then you start scoring goals, this, to me, puts him above someone like Mateo Kovacic in that hierarchy. When you also add the fact that Gallagher could have been sold before but didn't want to go. Why? Because he's one of those Chelsea homegrown DNA-rooted players who actually wants to be here. And you can see that. No one can say this season whether we've been impressed with Gallagher or not. No one can say that he's not fought for the shirt. No one can say that he doesn't want to be here and he's just passively waiting for the season to be over because, like many players in this Chelsea squad, no Champions League means a decrease in wages. All right, fair enough. Said the same about Sterling a couple of weeks ago, but he proved me wrong at the weekend. He's proved me wrong a couple of times recently. So I think it's exciting when Pochettino looks at those homegrown players in a Chelsea team that has struggled for identity. It is so important that we keep a core of that. We can go and buy Moises Caicedo, Alexis McAllister, 2 Brighton players, but 2 top-class Premier League players who would absolutely improve this Chelsea squad. But amongst all of that, we're going to lose more experience. We've lost experienced leaders in this Chelsea squad, particularly Jorginho in the midfield. I know I've slated him a lot over the years, but I think it's exciting that Pochettino sees a future in the likes of Gallagher, wants to keep Mount as well, and Levi Colwill. This is a massive one for Chelsea. You see how good he was in that game against Arsenal. Absolutely brilliant. On the ball, he always wants the ball. Brighton players are confident. If they need to go backwards, which they don't really like to do because they're aggressive in the way they press under De Zerbi. But Colwill's happy to receive the ball in tight areas, hits it forward, attempts long passes. This takes away the stress of Enzo Fernandez. He's completed more long passes in the Premier League than any other player since he's come in. I think it's 111. When you add someone like Colwill behind him, who also came up through the academy, all of a sudden, we're not just talking about really good, useful footballers on the pitch, but Chelsea start to build that nucleus again of players who really want to be here under a manager, Maurizio Pochettino, who has a system, who has a way of playing, but as well as that, the off-the-pitch stuff, the player management, player to player, is so important for Maurizio Pochettino. We saw it at Spurs, even at PSG. Even if he didn't do the best job, I think the PSG job is the hardest one, and if you don't win the Champions League, then it's a failure. So to judge Pochettino as less of a manager because he didn't win the Champions League of PSG, no manager's won it. And I don't think any manager will win it because the PSG project was a shiny toy that had a shelf life that is now expired, in my opinion. So Pochettino coming to Chelsea, I see Pochettino as a manager who has never really been considered at the top tier because he was working at 2 clubs where the quality, Pochettino's got a very high ceiling of where he can go. Boovy said this yesterday in the last Fan Standing episode that we recorded together. Pochettino's ceiling is so incredibly high with the correct backing and resources. At Spurs, they spent a bit of money, but it's Tottenham. Like, I say this all the time, but it's the best, simplest, shortest explanation for it. Spurs don't win things. And that is how top managers are seen as top managers, by winning things. PSG, he won a league. Yeah, cool, won a cup, decent. But again, that is a club built on egos. It's a club where Messi, Neymar and Mbappe are the face of everything. And the rest of the team, it's like, well, we got to defend. Sorry, guys. We'll leave that and pretend we've had 3 red cards. That's just what he was dealing with. So the way that he gets players training, we're hearing about it a lot at the moment. I can't remember the name of the test. I'll put the name on the screen, but he does the test where players are just doing sprints, shuttle runs. Chelsea need this. There are certain players in this squad who might not enjoy that. Joao Felix, but maybe Felix isn't here next season, but he's only been here 4 months, so how can we really say he's proper Chelsea anyway? At this point in time, all of these little things, the way that we will inevitably have to be training under a strict regime with Pochettino, we need this. Too many times this season, Graham Potter let these players off with mediocre, shoddy, effort's performances. Pochettino demands 100%. The quotes he said about, you're not paid to play games, you're paid to train. And then I will pick the best trainers to therefore create the best team to give us the best chance of winning football matches. This kind of attitude is going to shift the mentality at Chelsea and bringing it back to that nucleus of players that he wants to focus on, your Colwills, Mounts, Gallaghers. Reece James as well. This is everything I want to hear. And I don't know if, again, devil's advocate here, we've been excited in this video about the potential of the future. Maybe it is like, this is maybe what the Chelsea fans want to hear, because there's a lot of fans who maybe don't like some of those homegrown players, but there's a lot of us that also see that having some kind of Chelsea identity has been such a lack this season. So when results are bad, the disconnect between the fans and the club just absolutely gets amplified. Because if you've not got a nucleus and a core Chelsea team, and you're losing games because you've got tons of new players here and players who don't want to be here, and you're trying to manage all these egos and heads in a dressing room, the fact that Pochettino is outlining small numbers of targets, but clearly evidently needed targets in positions we must invest in, clear out's going to happen too, but that core Chelsea Cobham influence, people might think it's a little funny thing that some people like, some people hate, but it's so important. That is how Chelsea's success has been built in the past. Add into that a manager who takes no nonsense, trains players hard. I really think we could do something special next season. And it's been a long time since I've been able to make a video talking about being excited, talking about Chelsea being able to achieve something. It's so far away in my memory, lifting the Champions League, lifting the Super Cup under Thomas Tuchel. Since then, it's been a disaster. But now that all of my anti-Pochettino, because he's Tottenham manager, now it's all gone, I'm buzzing for this. I really am. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Chelsea should keep Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount? Pretty sure you're all going to agree we should keep Colwill and James, but those two, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As I said at the start of the video, follow the Telegram, free to join, link in the top of the description. See you guys tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.